Happy Monday, I guess if you're watching this video today. I hope you're doing well. There's a lot going on in the Magic the Gathering world this week. We've seen Rudy leaking actual print run numbers from the last couple of Magic sets, and this is something I've suspected a long time. Companies like Star City Games and Channel Fireball having access to this sort of data is totally anti-consumer and ripe for speculation, and it's really scary. To know what the exact print run of a particular set is something a vendor should never know. I wouldn't be surprised to see this blow up into something much bigger, so I'll be watching that story closely. But what I wanted to talk about was really digital goods, specifically Magic the Gathering Online, because as you might know, my collection was stolen by Wizards of the Coast. Now, those who blindly just don't like me will point to, well, it's in the terms and conditions. And yes, it is in the terms and conditions. But what you have to remember as an adult or a critical thinker or somebody who takes 2 minutes to research anything, companies can put whatever they want in a EULA or a terms of service. It does not mean that it is enforceable in the court of law. Now, I've talked to 2 lawyers who agree with me that while it's in this contract that you essentially sign, that it would not stand up in court because any reasonable person would have the expectations that when you pay real life money for a digital product, that is your product, and at no point should the company, other than maybe it going belly up, be able to basically take it back from you. It's important to note that while I did sell off some amount of my collection, there's several $100s, I'm sure, of collection, maybe over 1,000 in there, but that doesn't matter, okay? Let's say, hypothetically, I had a $100,000 collection. Because there was at no point where Wizards of the Coast said, well, this is the size of your MTGO account, and it's either big enough or small enough for us to take. No, they took the entire thing. So, as consumers, before you ever put a penny into something like Magic the Gathering Online, or if you ever consider paying real money into Magic Arena, which I highly suggest you do not do, you need to be aware of this. And people that might have a grudge against me might feel like, hey, it'll just, you were way over the line, it'll never happen to me. Well, it's happened before. Research what they did to Zach Jesse, a man that went to prison, did his time, and was publicly shamed by a scumbag announcer and banned for life from the game over a past crime. His entire Magic the Gathering Online collection was seized. I have seen grumblings that he was in fact paid out some amount of money for that. I have not received any such payment. And you as consumers need to keep this in mind. This goes beyond just Magic the Gathering. This goes if you play Pokemon TCGO, if you play Overwatch, if you play World of Warcraft, any of these things. There are policies in place, and there have been instances in the past where one violates the terms of service and the maker, the manufacturer of the game, the developer, takes back their digital goods. This is something that while many people who are, deep in the gamer community will often tell me, well, everyone knows that. Maybe that's true, but I would hardly agree that everyone knows that. Me, as somebody who's spent over probably 50 grand or more on Magic Online over the years, I really had no idea that they could just steal my collection. And you'd be right to make fun of me for not being educated. You really would. But if you can put that aside for a second, you need to think about, again, the precedent we've seen set here by Wizards of the Coast in the theft of my collection. And I think any normal person who's not ideologically driven or living life by the letter of the law and not the spirit of the law would agree that my property was stolen. They very easily could have given me a 7-day window to sell my collection. They did not do that. They closed my account. And I had tickets, which is a cash equivalent that Magic the Gathering uses online. You use them to pay for events. They took those too. That's the closest thing to cash. Now, it's an interesting scenario when you think about what somebody like MTGO Traders, and I'm not dissing them, any of these bots. If I don't really own my collection, how come MTGO Traders can buy and sell the cards? They're selling something that they don't technically own. This is a very gray area, an area that I think really needs a lot of light shined on it. How come there are so many bots that can buy and sell collections that they don't own? That's not right. It doesn't make sense. How can you buy and sell property you clearly don't own, unless I do own it, which would be my argument. Now, a lot of people have said that, oh, you should sue them. It's not worth it. I would spend $5,000 or $10,000 suing to get this collection back. Everybody knowing what Wizards of the Coast did to me is just as valuable as getting my collection back. It sucks because the important thing you have to understand is, what if I had $50,000 in cards? What if I was one of these drafters, these drafters that grind? They just take away 2 or 3 years worth of work over internet drama. Not anything in real life, not anything to do with any of their employees. They essentially confiscated my collection over mean tweets that had nothing to do with the company, nothing to do with their employees, nothing to do with them at all. And I want to show you the language that they use to do that. So inside of their terms of service, we see this licenses section. And again, remember that any terms of service they can write anything they want, right? Subject to your compliance with the terms and service, so meaning you just check the box, Wizards hereby grants you a non-exclusive, non-transferable, non-assignable, limited license to the game software, game service, digital objects, which would be my cards, game-related products, or services for your personal use via your accounts for the sole purpose of playing the game. The user agreement includes the right to trade online digital objects you receive as part of the game. Notwithstanding anything to the contrary contained by the user agreement, you acknowledge and agree that you currently do not and will not acquire ownership in your accounts or digital objects. You further acknowledge and agree that rights in and to the same shall forever be owned and inure to the benefit of Wizards, its successor and assigns. You grant Wizards a perpetual, unrestricted, and irrevocable right at no fee to use, copy, modify, publish, perform, and transmit and display any content you submit via media to Wizards and waive any moral rights you may have in such contract. Now, I've had this section looked at by lawyers, and almost all of them agree that there is no way this would stand up in court. But the more important thing is, I can't tell you what to do, but now that I have had to learn the hard way, I think you should at minimum take heed. It might seem, oh, well, you have a YouTube channel, they made an example of you, but this isn't the first time they've done that. And this won't be the last time they do it. And, they don't seem to do this to people who get caught cheating. People who get caught cheating get a 3, 4, 5, 6 month ban. They don't steal their cards. So I don't understand that. It seems very personal. It seems very vindictive. And it seems like something that everyone should know that you are at least at some risk of. And I've provided you at least 2 examples of that happening. I can't, in good faith, ever recommend anyone put any money into Magic the Gathering Online or Magic Arena as long as these types of clauses exist. And if you're in Magic Online, I highly recommend selling out of it. Because you never know when you're going to post the wrong meme and Wizards of the Coast is just going to close your account. We're not talking about a few dollars here. There were times my account had $20,000 or $30,000 in cards in it. And had I known I had been at risk of them just removing that at any moment, I would have been way more careful about linking my DCI to my MTGO account. I could tell you that much for sure. In a world where I can sell these digital items I allegedly don't own in exchange for tickets, which are basically cash, and then turn those tickets into cash via PayPal, you can't have it both ways, Wizards of the Coast. Either I own it or I don't. If I don't own it, I shouldn't be allowed to sell it. That's kind of a key feature of being able to owning something and selling it. It'd be like selling a car to somebody and not having the title on it. This does not fly. And this is exactly what they're asking you to sign when you sign up for Magic Online. And I assure you a similar clause will be in Magic Arena. I cannot, in good faith, ever recommend spending a penny, and I highly recommend pulling yours out if you have any. There are lots of free Magic apps out there, Cockatrice, X-Mage, things like that, where you can play Magic for free and not be at risk. I mean, if you read through this, it has some really absurd... Look at this feedback one. Wizards does not accept unsolicited suggestions, comments, or feedback regarding its products and other offerings. Feedback, if in the event you provide feedback, such feedback will be treated by Wizards in accordance with its unsolicited idea submission and feedback policies further described in sections 11 and 12 of the Wizards Terms of Use. I mean, this is absurd, and it's not that long. I read it. I've read it many times. I've read it through with a lawyer. It's not that long. But what you basically read is here, they will take your money and you owe nothing. And I know that a lot of you are going to say, well, everybody knows that. No, they don't. Most people don't. Most people have some trust in a company where they exchange money for goods, that sending out tweets or having personal disagreements somehow wouldn't give the company any right at all to steal the products back. I think I'm being entirely reasonable to, at minimum, expect Wizards of the Coast give me my money, or let me log back into my account and give me the opportunity to sell out of it. This financial hit is unlawful, and it's just an absurd overreach. I can't imagine this happening to someone where, you know, losing a $500 collection or a $1,000 collection could cripple them. What if my collection was $10,000? The amount doesn't matter. There is no threshold determined here whether or not they could take your collection. It's just they take it. Tough. And we as consumers of these types of products, and obviously specifically I can talk about trading card games, we can't stand for this. And the only way we can not stand for this is just don't give them our money and let them know why. This is why that petition continues to grow, and people are getting educated on this. And this isn't even just a Wizards of the Coast thing. I'm sure Pokemon has the same thing. I'm sure Yu-Gi-Oh has the same thing. You need to be aware that when you give these companies your money, you need to be asking the question, what happens? Do I own my product? Do I own my loot boxes that I'm buying? And if you don't, and you still decide to give them your money, well, that's on you, and that's okay. But if they don't side with you, the customer, that should give you a very real reason to ask Wizards of the Coast in this example, or Hasbro, why is it they accept my money in exchange for cards, let me buy and sell them for the equivalent of cash in game, allow me in very easy way to convert tickets to cash, but then when it's convenient to them, say I don't own it. This goes for every one of you that might play Magic Online. Every one of you that might play Magic Arena. This needs to change. Otherwise, there's no way I can recommend putting 1 cent into either one of these softwares or anything like it. Buyer beware out there.